Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Maximum warp. Punch it. Punch it.
Punch it, Bishop!
Punch it.
Punch that shit!
Let's punch it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Punch It, Writing in Star Trek. I am your co-host, Tristan Riddell, and with me, as always, is...
Charlene Schmidt.
Charlene Schmidt. Last week, we talked about Star Trek Discovery because, it was an amazing time, and it was just after the season finale. But today, we're talking about something just as epic, but a whole lot older, because we're doing
Yeah.
a what-if scenario. A what-if scenario, which is something that we absolutely, positively love to do on this show, and that is... what if the episode Scorpion happened in TNG? So it's kind of like a mixture of Scorpion and Borg, but it's really, if we want to get down to the bare knuckles of it, it is what would happen if Seven was introduced into Star Trek: The Next Generation.
This brings up so many fun issues. One, you and I already decided off mic that this has to take place after Best of Both Worlds because of the drama and the trauma that Captain Picard especially endured regarding the Borg. Facing them again is going to present a certain challenge to him. And then also, is he or is he not going to want a formerly Borg crew member, a la Seven, aboard the Enterprise D? These are the questions that we have to answer.
And this is going to be so much fun because we're going to have to jump around a few things because, there's going to be that time of, say the crew rescues Seven, and then why don't we just ship her off back home?
We could drop her off at Earth, sure. Doesn't she have an Aunt Irene over there?
Because that was not an option in Star Trek Voyager. Because they were trapped in the Delta Quadrant.
Which brings up, actually, the first and probably the biggest question that we have to answer, which is that in Scorpion, Voyager is entering the heart of Borg territory. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Enterprise D is not in the Delta Quadrant.
Right. And so that's kind of that's the catch, that's the structure. So let's start with that. Let's go ahead and start with the beginning of it all, because we could talk about how Seven integrates in the crew and how other people would react to her like we normally do, because if we transplant a character like we have in the past, what would Cisco be like on Voyager, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'd say he would interact with B'Elanna this way, or he would interact with Chakotay this way. But I think with this one, because it's so much more complicated,
It is. Just this one thing really brings up a lot of issues as to how we can make this story work. Because why is the Enterprise D facing the Borg if they're not in the Delta Quadrant with this kind of story? Also, Species 8472 is subspace. Are they everywhere in the galaxy, or is it just the Delta Quadrant again?
I think what we have to do in order to make this a TNG episode, we can't include Species 8472.
So that changes a lot of the story, though.
I think essentially, what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, with this being a mixture of Scorpion and the episode Borg. So I think it's going to be, okay, so do you remember the episode, I think it was the 6th season, Survival Instinct, the one where she has to make her own mini collective, where they're stranded on a planet?
Where have we heard that before, by the way?
Exactly. That's the thing. There's so many similarities between Hugh from the Next Generation and Seven that because Seven was once stranded on a planet with a bunch of Borg, she survived and they were retaken by the Borg, but until she made her own mini collective, which forever linked them. And then there's Borg, which they were another Borg ship crashes. And I think Hugh was the only survivor in that one. Yeah. And then they rehabilitate him and then give him back to the collective. So I feel like this is a what-if scenario of what if there was no Hugh and it was Seven instead? How does that go down? And so I think that's how it goes down, is that she was a member, she was a member of Hugh's crew. And Hugh didn't survive, but she did.
So we're just replacing Hugh with Seven, and I'm guessing gonna make her a permanent crew member.
And making her a permanent crew member. Like that's the trick, that's the hard part. And we have to come up with a reason as to why they don't just ship her off to the Daystrom Institute or ship her off back to headquarters. We have to find a reason that keeps her on the show. So I think that they go, like, I think Hugh was very interested in becoming an individual. Like, Hugh was not aggressive. He was more of a lost sheep, where Seven was angry. Seven was arrogant. Seven was, we are the Borg and you friggin' suck. And Hugh was very much like, oh, hey, okay, you're totally going to become a Borg. Well, I don't want to. All right, that's cool, man. That's all right. That's all right.
He was the hippie of Borgs.
I may be simplifying it a little bit.
But no, you're right. I mean, Hugh was a lot more placid about the whole thing than Seven was. And I feel like, though, if they did find 7 of 9 and she didn't go right back to the Borg Collective like Hugh did, that the Federation would immediately say, okay, we're going to research the crap out of her so that we can learn the Borg and find a way to defeat them the next time they try to invade, a la First Contact, essentially.
I think that would absolutely happen, but we need to think of a way. I think here's how we could think about it. So, like, she reluctantly gets separated from the Borg. She demands to be returned, and the TNG crew, the Enterprise crew, is just like, yeah, we're not going to do that. You're an individual, like, you're Annika Hansen. This is your backstory. We just kind of move it a few years so that it lines up with their own timeline. And so I feel like we have to come up with there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a decision for why the TNG crew won't send them back, because initially Starfleet wanted to send her with a virus. Like, they wanted to send Hugh back with a virus,
right,
that would destroy the Borg. Which when I go back and watch that, I'm just like, do it. But Picard says, no, that's genocide. We're not going to do that. And I think that, what if the Borg rejects 7 of 9?
Ooh, okay, that would be a good twist. Yes.
And so that's why they can't return her, because even though she wishes to, they find a Borg vessel, they find a Borg scout, like something that they could take on. Like, it's not a sphere, it's not a cube, it's a scout vessel that the Enterprise D could handle. And they say, we've got your person. We've got 7 of 9. She wants to come back. We believe in individual freedoms, and so we're going to return her. And the crew, and they do a scan, and they say something to the effect of, she's too far gone, and then gets out.
Which is an interesting take on the Borg, because they simulate just about anybody they can get their hands on, minus the Kazon.
Now, the Borg were incredibly different during the TNG era. True. And I'm wondering, is that enough leeway for me to say that? Or do we need another reason why she can't go back to the Borg?
Here's the thing. If we're writing TNG era Borg, they're still making up the rules of the Borg at this time. We know them differently now with a lot more history. And then, Voyager went crazy with their Borg stories. And so we don't have to work with that if we don't want to. Now, we started out thinking we were going to put Scorpion, the events of Scorpion, sort of, into TNG, but I feel like we're doing more of just a rewrite of Borg. It's not Scorpion anymore.
It's not Scorpion anymore. It's kind of a rewrite of Borg, but I think we're going to get into the 7 territory where 7 becomes a member. But I think we need to establish the plot first of how she stays on, because here's my idea of how she stays on. So I think we figured out how she gets on board, and they separate her from the collective, and maybe they try to heal her. Maybe Dr. Crusher is just goes through the motions of oh, she's unconscious and she's a Borg, but she's kind of like Locutus, so we can still salvage her human components. So let's just do that since she's unconscious.
Yeah,
because
okay.
in Crusher's mind,
Crusher's
she's
done
hurting.
This.
Yeah, Crusher's done this, and in Crusher's mind, she's helping her. She's not ripping her from the Borg. She's giving her back her humanity, and it's not until she wakes up where Crusher's like, oh crap, like what have I done?
That's great. I have an idea. Let me know if you're into this at all. Annika Hansen was assimilated at a very young age, at 6 years old. What if we have this incarnation, this Annika Hansen, somebody who was assimilated at Wolf 359, has not been a member of the Borg that long? What if that helps her regain her humanity a little more quickly and justifies the fact that maybe they can reform her back into a Starfleet officer, and that's why she's on the ship?
I think that's definitely a way that we could go. One concern is that one reason why Seven was so adamant about going back to the Borg is because she was assimilated as a child, and that's all that she knew. That's all that she remembered.
Yeah.
But we could, I mean, because we're, like you said, we're writing TNG, we could say like, oh, well, like it's been a couple years since Wolf 359, and we've never known anybody to be assimilated for that long and come back, because with Picard, it was only like 4 days that he was assimilated. And with Annika, it could be 3 years or something like that.
Sure. And
Or 2
honestly,
years
I
or
mean,
something.
you could even just write it off saying that once you're assimilated into the collective, it has such a hold on you that it's hard to let go. But maybe with Crusher kind of maybe reinvigorating some old memories of who she used to be, opens her mind to the possibility of maybe being able to be okay not being a part of the collective anymore.
Okay, so maybe that's the arc of the episode, where maybe it's like it's a Crusher Picard 7 story where it's Crusher's journey on healing her, and it's Picard trying to speak with her as Locutus, but also as a Starfleet officer. And I think it would be interesting because, like, you have the do no harm, the Hippocratic Oath from Crusher, and maybe she feels like she went back on that. She's like, I should have waited until she regained consciousness to see if she wanted this. I just assumed that she didn't want to be a part of the collective, like, because she was a Starfleet officer. And
what if Picard has to talk her down a little bit? Like, she storms into the ready room, Jean-Luc, I'm so sorry. I think I made the wrong call here. And he's got to offer some perspective. I think this could be a really rich episode with the three of them, Picard and Crusher talking, Crusher and Annika, and then Annika and Picard / Locutus. And this is, meanwhile, doing a big number on Picard.
Yes, I think it would be good. I think the reason why they would want to keep her on board instead of shipping her off for analysis is that you have Data, who is an expert in cybernetics.
Yes.
And he would be able to give a unique perspective. You have Picard, who's an expert on the Borg, and so he would be able to give a unique perspective. And maybe Crusher throws around her medical knowledge, saying like, listen, I'm the attending physician, I'm her physician, I dictate where her healing happens due to rule 34.161747 of the charter.
Make up a regulation. Right. Also, I'm sorry, but she's not a lab rat. Okay?
Yeah. And I think, and like Picard like uses that. He says like, it's like, she'll be able to grow here. We'll be able to get more information out of her willingly than your psychoanalysis or like trying to excise it from her while trying to help her period of growth back to humanity. These people here, she's in the best place here in order to do that. So maybe her arc is she doesn't want to, it's like she wants to go back to the Borg. She's thinking about not going back. She doesn't want to go back. And so it's her decision to stay on board. Okay.
But do we still do the thing where they try to send her back to the collective initially and they reject her?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we need to do that anymore. I think like that's her arc of that episode, that she, it's kind of like at the end of Scorpion, she decides that she's going to be a member of their collective. She's going to she's going to try to be an individual.
All right. That's cool though, because it kind of shows there's still work to be done if she's still talking about collectives, but it's her freedom of choice to make that decision.
Right. Do we want to make her a Starfleet officer, a former Starfleet officer? It feels like a little bit of a cheat and would make it easier for her to acclimate, maybe too much.
Here's the thing, though, is that makes so much sense. Unless you want to make her a research scientist like Annika's parents were.
I kind of want to go that route. Like, let's keep her at the Wolf 359, but not a Borg expert. Let's make her a research scientist who was on a ship that went into battle
Okay.
at Wolf 359.
Fair enough. And then she still kind of gets to be, I don't know, like, where is Seven of Nine in the ranks? She's just kind of everywhere.
She doesn't have a rank, but she kind of took the lead of head science officer.
More or less.
In Voyager.
Yeah. Yeah, because they didn't really have a whole lot of blue shirts on the show.
No,
surprisingly,
they didn't.
on a science vessel, no less, you guys. Ugh.
I think in TNG, she would definitely be in a uniform right away.
Good God, I hope so. Please no catsuit.
So I think actually in the first season that she's in, I don't think she's in a uniform. I don't think she's not in a catsuit, but I don't think she's in a uniform. And I think she just she's there to like Counselor Deanna Troy's helping her with regaining her humanity. Crusher's helping her. Data's helping her because she still has some of her implants, and Picard is helping her. And it's not until the next season where she's like, listen, I have so much knowledge from the Borg. I don't need to go to the academy, but I'd love to stay on the ship. You should give me a field commission.
I was just thinking, field commission. That ought to get her a uniform and a minimal rank, but nevertheless, I mean, yeah, she's working with the senior staff. We know what she is.
Yeah, I think she becomes a senior member. She's a lieutenant junior grade or lieutenant full grade or something like that. And or senior grade, I meant to say. And I think that's kind of her growth, is that she becomes a member of Starfleet because of a field commission, because she has so much knowledge, that it's kind of like Kelvin versus Chekhov, where Kelvin versus Chekhov didn't go to the academy. He was recruited. They're like, we're going to make you an ensign right away because you're so freaking smart. And that's what they did with Seven, because she has all this knowledge from the Borg that she doesn't need to go to the academy.
Yeah. Okay, so that sets a good arc for her. Now, as far as her interactions with the crew go, she and Picard are going to have a special relationship, obviously.
I think it's going to be special, but I think it's going to be very, very weird at first. I think she pseudo-deifies him because he's Locutus, and it's built into her DNA.
Yeah.
We are forgetting one big thing. All the Borg at Wolf 359 were destroyed.
Oh, come on. Somebody had to survive. Come on.
We're going to say like there was an escape pod or something? Or
Yep, that's what we're doing. Let's just make it that easy. Yep.
Folks, listen, folks. We know we just stumbled on something and we're totally going to ignore it. So just shh.
Yeah,
okay.
It didn't happen.
Okay, so with that in mind, so I think she deifies him because he's Locutus, and so it's kind of like Kira and Sisko at first, because Sisko is the emissary, and so Kira's a little weird around him because he's the leader of her religion. Kind of the same thing, but also at the same time, as she develops her humanity and her individuality, she develops anger towards Picard because he was the reason that Wolf 359 happened. He was the reason why her ship was destroyed, but then at the same time, she has to battle back and forth because she's like, well, I was taken against my will, and so was Jean-Luc. So why should I be mad at him? I can't be mad at him.
She's going to go through the stages of Borg grief, just like Jean-Luc had to, and I have a feeling he's going to help mentor her through that.
Yes.
Help her understand what it is she's going through. What does it mean to be an ex-Borg? Really, he's the only person that she could possibly go to that really understands that. So I think, they are going to have a lot of changes in their relationship, and I think the end result of all of that is she's going to have a real firm respect for him as her captain.
Absolutely. And so let's move down the list. Riker. We all know what everybody's thinking.
I mean, if Chakotay and Seven can get together, why not Riker and Seven?
I want to see the episode where Seven explores her sexuality with holographic Chakotay.
Riker. Oh my
I don't want it
God.
to be holographic Riker. I want it to be Riker who goes up to her and says, like, listen, if you need...
I'll teach you everything you need to know.
If you need to know anything or learn anything, if you need any help in any area.
Wait. What if it's Data programming her with multiple techniques?
Well, she's not an android.
No.
So she doesn't need, she's not programmed.
Yeah, I know. I'm just using the phrasing.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're saying like, what if she goes to Data to help with her sexuality?
Yeah,
is what you're
because she
saying.
feels more comfortable around Data, but maybe she has the hots for Riker, but she wants to go in a little prepared, knowing that she has no experience.
That's interesting. Okay, that's really interesting. Not to talk about her sexuality right away, but it's because we talked about Riker right away. That's the only reason why we're bringing it up.
Yeah.
I love the idea of her straight up using Data. Like hardcore, like no emotion. If Data had emotion, we would hate Seven for all time. But because Data has no emotion, and because she's still kind of self-absorbed like Seven was at the beginning.
Yes.
Like she's just like, oh, well, Data is skilled in multiple techniques. And he has no emotional attachment, so I can use him for I can use him for whatever purposes I need in this regard. And Data's just like, yeah, sure, let's do this because he's just a machine. And so it's a weird situation, and Data can't get attached though. And so there would be no negative.
Yeah, here's the weird thing. Like, I think it has to be a comedy of errors where Seven has a
you're right.
subjective, but then Data is probably left wondering, okay, does this mean Seven likes me? Are we entering into a relationship? What are we doing here? And so I think there's got to be some sort of episode that happens where really she's just trying to get some information out of him, but he thinks it's way more. But it can't end with attachment. I agree. And
Right,
then that's when Seven has to realize she's hurting a friend.
I think that's kind of what I don't know if it needs to end that particular way. I agree with everything you said up until that last moment, where I think, you know how the end of the episode where Data has a relationship for the first time, and it ends very hollow, where he blows out the candle and Spot hops on his lap. And she's feels like she hurt him, but obviously he didn't, and he's totally fine. He's like, "Hey, Spot," so we know it's all kind of okay. But inside, as an audience member, we hurt a little bit. I think neither of these characters are hurt, but yet we as an audience are like, "This was not the right way to do things. This was a weird thing to go."
I totally see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. I think that's actually a little funner for us as an audience, just having that WTF kind of feeling, and it's not going to get resolved in that episode.
No, I think we're hurt on behalf of them. We're just like, oh, you hurt Data's feelings. Oh, wait, no, you didn't. Like, oh, Seven, you should have done that. Well, she doesn't know any better.
Right.
Like that kind of thing.
Like, you can't totally fault them. They're going through these motions kind of oblivious to how we feel and react to it as an audience.
But at the end, like, she kind of dumps them a little bit like Seven dumps the Doctor, saying... like preemptively dumps the Doctor and says like, oh, I think Riker would make a much more suitable candidate for this. And Data's like, okay.
So then he has no choice but to move on, and then she's going to start putting some of her new skills on Riker.
I think Riker would keep his distance for a while because obviously she's somebody who's going through something. And Riker is a hound, but he's not a jackass.
Right.
And so I think that's the line right there. But once she started developing more individuality and she started seeking him out, Riker would not say no.
No, he wouldn't. So we would explore what a relationship between those two would be like. Now, what I would kind of like to see, though, is what happens if and when it fails, and how does that feel for the two of them?
I think it fails spectacularly.
Yeah.
Big breakup, like horrible breakup. Because on TNG, everything's very like, okay, we broke up. This is sad, but we'll move on. We'll remain friends. I want it to be ugly. I want Riker to I want either Riker to screw up or Seven to screw up. Actually, I don't even know if I don't think we should see the breakup. I want to see the aftermath of the breakup, where in an episode, all of a sudden they're weird around each other. They're not speaking to each other. They enter in a turbo lift and they're just dead silence. And Deanna's like, what the hell's going on, Will? Like, what's going on?
Oh my gosh, yes. And then we kind of get all this, we kind of fill the gaps of the information in from the other crew members interacting with these two, and it kind of helps us figure out what in the heck happened. That would be a great episode.
I think that would be a lot of fun. And then maybe at the end, we make it all TNG style, where they shake hands and like, we'll remain friends, blah, blah, blah.
Right, because of course they have to have that heart-to-heart at the end and talk like adults. And then, they sail off and that's the end of the episode. But what an awesome episode that would be. It would be fun.
And maybe no one even knew that they were in a relationship. And
Oh no, I think
like,
everybody knew.
everybody knew. Okay, all right.
Oh yeah,
gotcha.
come on. Either because maybe Seven had some weird declaration where it became known to everybody despite maybe not wanting everybody to know, or who knows, maybe everybody on Deck 9 heard them. I don't know. Something like that.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't know where Riker's quarters are, or Seven's for that matter, but hey, whatever. You get my reference.
So we've kind of established Data and Riker. I think the only added thing to Data would be he helps her with her cybernetic implants. It's something that's a little bit beyond Crusher's purview, and so he helps out. And so there's a lot of scenes with him and her in his lab, his proprietary lab. And I think that they just explore humanity together. Like, she's trying to regain it, and he's trying to get it for the first time.
Right. So they're sharing very different experiences and helping each other out in the process. That's going to be a cool relationship. Now, what about Geordi? Because I have a feeling these two are going to be at odds with one another. Geordi is not going to be kind. He's going to kind of be a little bit of a jackass. And they're going to have to kind of try and meet each other in the middle and make peace.
I think it's going to be very similar to the B'Elanna relationship. It's hard not to. I think she's going to do things without asking permission. She's going to change things in engineering. And Geordi is going to have none of it.
Oh, yeah. He'll flip. That's not how you do things in my engineering.
And while B'Elanna was aggressive, because that's her personality, I feel like Geordi would throw the hammer down even harder than B'Elanna. I don't know why I feel this way, but I just think, because I feel like B'Elanna felt like she had to put up with Seven because Janeway asked her to. But with Geordi, Geordi would just be like, this is not happening. Get out of my engineering.
Okay, and then maybe Picard reads a report, calls Geordi in and says, what the heck happened here? Mm-hmm. And maybe Geordi will go to Picard saying, look, I cannot handle her. I don't even want her in engineering anymore. Yeah. I don't have time for this. And Picard, in his fashion, is just going to say, find a way, make it work. Yeah. You're a Starfleet officer. You're the head of the department.
Yeah, like you absolutely need her. Not specialty is not the right word, but
no. Well, you have to find a way to make it work with her.
Right. Like, she's too smart, she's too valuable to
essentially
to not use her specialties and her knowledge and everything like that.
Right. She's not going anywhere. So, as a fellow coworker, find a way to make this happen.
Moving on to, we've already talked about like Crusher. I think Crusher would really just be medical. Like, it would just be like, this is what you're going to be feeling. This is what you're going to be going on. But if you want to talk more about your feelings, talk to Deanna.
Right. Yeah. She and Deanna are going to have, I think, strictly a therapist-client relationship because that's what they kind of have to have. I think maybe Crusher, on the other hand, can be more of the friend healer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's maybe more of a confidant.
I was thinking the opposite.
But when you have it's not ethical to have a friendship with your therapist. Not while you're in treatment. No. You can't do that. That's why Deanna's off limits. That's why I went for Crusher.
But what about patient though? Like, she's a medical patient.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of a little different, I want to say. Now, if they were maybe having a relationship, yeah, that's probably not cool. But a friendship, as long as it's not interfering with her medical treatments, I'd say that has to be okay. Now, call me out if I'm wrong. If there's any medical professionals out there, if there's a code of ethics that say you can't do that, please tell me. Because my background's psychology. I know it's not cool for therapists. That's it.
No, I think I'm with you on that one. I think that's smart. Like, exactly what you said is I think makes sense.
Okay.
So we have those two taken care of, and that leaves.
What about Worf?
Yeah, we need to talk about Worf.
Sparring partner.
I think sparring partner. I think she's. I want to say antagonistic at first because we need more drama. We need more people that she doesn't get along with. And
what if that turns Worf on?
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
And of course, maybe by this point, Seven has a crush on Riker, and it's sort of like that weird thing where Worf and Deanna are together, and
I think it's
weird
too
soap opera triangle. Oh my god.
it's a little reductive, I think, because of Deanna. But I like the idea of it turning him on, where he's just like, listen, she's strong, she's knowledgeable, she's a great fighter, she's opinionated, she's pig-headed.
He's going to respect the heck out of that.
He's going to respect her, but there's got to be a reason why he doesn't want to go after her. I don't know. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe she just turns him down outright. Just like, no
I
thanks.
like it. Yeah.
Like he tries and then she says no and he respects her enough to back away.
Like maybe that's one of the more solid friendships she has, and she's not interested in romance. She strictly wants friendship, friend zones him, and he's okay with that because he likes what they have too.
Friend zone in a positive way.
In a positive way, right. But they have to have that definition that's
Absolutely.
just not a place where they're going to go. Cool.
Love it. So I think Wesley is terrified of her. Like actually,
and then he leaves anyway, so who cares?
and then he leaves anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like he's terrified of her. He's nervous around her. He stumbles. He's just like, hey, he's 7.
Just like that in that voice, he cracks.
Are we exploring her romantic side too much?
No, I don't think any more than she actually did on the show.
Okay.
One little thing. You know how Seven and Naomi had a relationship? Does she have that sort of kind of bond maybe with Alexander? When
That's
Alexander's
interesting.
on the show. Yeah, like does she bond with a kid?
I don't know.
I think there's potential there.
I like the idea, but my gut instinct is like, Alexander.
I mean, just take your feelings of Alexander in general out of the equation and just think of story potential.
I think it would be more interesting to explore that with Data than I would Alexander.
Yeah. I mean, you're right about that. I don't know. Maybe once in a blue moon they could have some sort of interaction with Alexander just to see how she does act around children.
Yeah, I like that.
Does she like children? Does she hate their guts?
I don't think it's not a Naomi Wildman level relationship, but
No.
there's something there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting it becomes like this recurring theme, but it would be interesting just to see maybe how that plays out. Does Alexander like her, or is he deathly afraid? That sort of thing.
So is there anybody else we're forgetting? I don't think so. Do we want to say Guinan?
I was just about to bring up Guinan. I mean, there's going to have to be a couple of really good scenes where Guinan throws down the gauntlet and tells her how it is every now and again, because Guinan's good at that.
And also, the Borg eradicated her world.
So maybe Guinan's not going to like her at first.
I think it's going to be hard because this is going to add an interesting dynamic because Guinan will feel the need to help her and feel the need to help with her growth, but also at the same time, I don't actually, you know what? I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I think she's going to purely see her as a victim of the Borg.
Maybe relating to her as a fellow victim.
Yes.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. And maybe we just flip that script where maybe Seven is a little cautious around Guinan, recognizing her as an Elarian. Oh yeah, the Borg kind of just destroyed just about all of you and doesn't really know how or what to say to that. But then Guinan approaches her and they strike up a friendship.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I think that's perfect. I think it's Seven stays away out of respect. And Guinan's just like, listen, you don't have to stay away. Let's have a conversation. And they have a great friendship of like lifting each other up.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
That warms my heart. I just had this moment.
Well, I think that's a good place to end. I think that's
Yeah.
I think that we established how she got on the show, how she stayed on the show, and her relationships with everybody in the main cast. I think this is a great place to end. This is this could be I-7 instead of I-Borg.
I-7. Digging it. Yeah, this was fun. Started in one place, ended up in another, and that's just what happens when you do this on the fly. It's good stuff.
So everyone, please go to thenerdparty.com to check out all of our other episodes by going to by clicking Punch It, checking out all of our past episodes. There's a lot of good stuff there. Also, make sure to check out all of our other shows. We got Star Trek shows, Star Wars shows, Harry Potter shows, Doctor Who shows, movie, television, all over this place. And also, if you want to submit something that you want us to talk about, or a topic or something like that, go to thenerdparty.com/contact, select Punch It from the drop-down menu, fill out the form, it'll send us an email, and also find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just by going to thenerdparty.com. That's where you can find it. You can find me personally on Twitter at the Insane Robin.
And you can find me at Oh the Profanity. And if you've got any other what ifs, like transplanting other crew members onto other ships or writing story ideas from one series to another, let us know, because what ifs are just loads of fun. We'd love to have your ideas.
All right, so we cannot wait until we're back in the studio to talk Punch It writing in Star Trek, because that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to punch it.
Ready for warp, sir.
Let's punch it.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.